around for a while now, but it's been 20 years. But here's the thing, it feels like even the people who grew up with the series, like I grew up with the series personally. One of the first video games I ever played, the first time I played it, I was around 5 or 6, and now I'm like 22 years old, damn near almost a college graduate, and wow, everything has come full circle for this series. Nomura has been working on this since 2002, guys. It's ridiculous. And I get where he's going. He just, maybe, we can tell the stories in different ways, and I can't wait to see it. So the series is known for its cliffhanger finales. How do you approach keeping these satisfying but still ensuring fans felt like they had some answers? This is what I kind of want to really have to say, because it feels like no Kingdom Hearts game has had a complete and other done ending. So with every title, we just try to create a game that is contagious in itself. There's an actual ending, and I don't fully 100% believe that one, but there's an actual ending instant to each game, which is probably something similar to any game that is made. But since the Kingdom Hearts storyline has so many mysteries and the story is ongoing, there's just so many different things that we can get into. Fans say every time they think they figure something out, there's a new mystery that they need to figure out. This is very true. I remember Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep when it was like everything connected to Sora, and then it was like, because I thought with Kingdom Hearts 2, they really couldn't tell a bigger, expansive story until we see the secret ending. Like, there's a bunch of cool things that I always enjoyed about the series, is that it always has a continuing storyline to go by, and there's never like one thing that it needs to be focused on. It's a bunch of things that need to be focused on. I suppose a combination of just trying to make sure that the game is in itself contains comes to a clear stop, but then also, I'm sorry if I'm jumping over words, also just trying to prepare a new mystery so that fans are aware of what will be important in the next title or the next part of the story that's coming up. Personally, I feel this approach is not really anything special, something that all game developers might be considering when they make their games. Very true, but a lot of games do have sort of a concrete, this is over. It feels like an MCU movie with a lot of things. And even comic books have more of a said and done storyline, because they never do that. But that's Nomura. I love Nomura for what he does with that. What has been your favorite cliffhanger to see fans' reaction to? The first thing that comes to mind is the ending for the original Kingdom Hearts. I feel like that was maybe really unexpected on the player's part, because people playing the first game probably didn't think that the story would continue beyond that. Also in Kingdom Hearts 3, when Lucy takes off their hood at the very end, I really enjoyed seeing the fans' reactions just because it was something that I probably really hoped for. To be honest, yes, every fan I have talked to always talk about the Lucy reveal as being like, oh, I knew it. Like, they knew this character. One Light Hub, he's on the podcast with us. I'm sorry if you guys heard that. That's my phone going off. And yeah, I know, it's the Kingdom Hearts ringtone. But yeah, I remember Lucy was a big thing. Because even when I saw it, I was like, that don't make no sense. And then I reconnected with he knows too much. Lucy knows way too much just to be a normal background character or a villain that, is a one-off. Also, the original Kingdom Hearts ending, I remember the secret ending for that. I remember I was like, oh shit, this is a lot darker than I remember. That was a young kid. I was like, wait a minute, did I do something bad? Did we get the bad ending? It's something. We expect characters from games like Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days to become popular. You feel like their stories are complete, or we can expect more of these characters to pop up in Kingdom Hearts 4? Now, I'm going to tell you this in advance. This is a very controversial answer, but let's read what you have to say. I'm about to make one more comparison to another famous Japanese-made creation. I really didn't think that the characters from these two titles would become this popular. I had thought that the players wanted to see more characters like Sora or Riku. It was kind of unexpected that the characters from these two titles were so well received. As far as including them and continuing their stories in Kingdom Hearts 4, the threat for Kingdom Hearts 4 is focused more on Sora's disappearance. I'm not quite sure if there will be room to really explore other characters' stories as much, but I'm aware the team is aware that these characters are very popular and people want to see more of them. So if possible, it would be great to include more of them or continue to share more of their stories in future opportunities. Everyone from Twitter I see are like, oh, well, we want to see the other characters. You guys have to remember, Sora is a main character. He is the one who started this franchise off. And the thing is, I don't see why people are mad. And another thing, Dragon Ball sort of did the same thing. Because nobody not Tetsuya, Akira Toriyama said, I didn't expect Vegeta to be popular. I didn't even like Vegeta in the beginning, but he grew on me and I learned to love him. That was sort of the same with Nomura, because if you see earlier interviews for Kingdom Hearts 3, Nomura said he was like, I'm more so rooting for Xehanort in this game. So, like, it's you gotta remember, these characters, like, freaking Sora, Goku, or anyone else in, like, a main character situation, they're going to get their due diligence. They are the main characters. If they're on the front of the cover, they're gonna be the one. Well, I'm not gonna always say that, but most of the time when you're on the front cover of something, you are the main character. They're not always gonna focus on the side character. Cause my favorite character is Riku. I don't think we're gonna see much of Riku. My other favorite character is Roxas. Roxas ain't gonna pop up that much. So yeah, it's a thing, but we're gonna have to just learn to deal with it. Cause again, this is Sora's story. Another area where we saw Kingdom Hearts popularity surge was seeing Sora in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Can you talk about your feelings on having Sora involved? Obviously, I was very happy that we were able to have Sora make an appearance in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Most of the feedback when Sora was announced for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was, I can't believe Disney okayed for him to be in this game. Behind the scenes, I was actually the one being very picky about his appearance in Smash Bros. Disney was one that was like, go ahead, this is a great opportunity. I thought I would be tough. I'm sorry, my phone keeps going off. Pull off because it might clash with the established lore in Kingdom Hearts and Disney World. So it was an opportunity. I had to consider very carefully. After seeing how happy everybody was in welcoming Sora and Smash Bros., I feel like the end result was really great. I love that he's very nonchalant about it, because he's like, yeah, I wasn't super okay with it because I didn't know how it affected the lore, which is true. I don't blame him, because I knew that we were going to get a bunch of people like, can we get Nintendo World in here? I get what he means, because that was an annoying thing that all of the fans kind of had to deal with. So we're almost done with the interview. This is a long interview. We're not going to read everything, so I'm just going to pick and choose parts. So yeah, with the magic of video editing. But yeah, now we're back. But you didn't notice because I use that good old video editing. But we're going to talk more about it. But Xehanort is such a memorable villain, and now we're going into the Lost Matches arc. How do you follow that up with create a fresh conflict with new adversaries? As you mentioned, Xehanort is a really memorable character. We did take a lot of time to flesh out the enemy's presence throughout the series. It all started in the original Kingdom Hearts, where there's Ansem and Kingdom Hearts 2 with Xemnas. Basically, these two figures that stem from one person. In the first game, we explored just the heart portion. In the second game, we explored the physical body. It all led up to the full physical embodiment of the character. So basically, they're just talking about how he was sort of a very memorable villain. That's the reason I like Xehanort. Actually, I like Xemnas more than I like Xehanort, but they were all pretty much the same character. I like how they handled villains in this game. So I actually want to go to this question, because this one seems very important. Do you feel it's important to keep Sora as the main protagonist, or do you ever see the series moving beyond? As far as spin-offs go, we've had main characters that were not Sora. But in terms of the mainline series, I think Sora is actually the only real candidate for the main character. I think if Sora is no longer the main character, then I would also feel like the world indicates the end to the number titles. He's that important to the series. I always said that, because Sora always was a stand-in for he was a stand-in for the player. Some people are very inspired by his character. I know I sure am, because him making friends and making these connections, it sort of goes in hand with how people are in real life. Because some people will make friends with everybody, some will not. And sort of having that sort of naive and kind nature just shows yeah, that you can, if you put yourself out there, you can be friends with anyone. It's really weird. I have a really deep connection to Sora. That's why I always like meeting new people and stuff. So, we saw Donald and Goofy in the Kingdom Hearts 4 reveal, but one question a lot of fans have is, how much will Disney will still be integral to the series? With regard to Kingdom Hearts 4, players are definitely going to see few Disney World in there. I just want to mention that they don't need to worry much about this aspect of the game. It might feel slightly different from previous Kingdom Hearts titles, but once players have had a chance to play the game, I'm sure they'll be relieved to find that it's definitely a Kingdom Hearts title. It's this game series they've come to know and love. As far as graphic quality, since with each title the specs have been really increasing, there's so much more we can do in terms of graphics. Kind of limit the number of worlds that we can create in a sense. At this time, we're considering how to approach that, but there will be Disney World in Kingdom Hearts 4. That's what I've always been saying to people. Even if there are a few Disney Worlds, we have to remember Kingdom Hearts is a Disney property. It is owned and made by Disney and Square Enix. Square Enix owns all the Disney characters. Well, no, not Square. Square Enix owns all the Final Fantasy characters, while Disney owns everyone else. So even Sora, Riku, Kairi, Aqua, Ventus, Terra, Roxas, Xion, Axel, all owned by Disney. Everything is owned by Disney except for the Final Fantasy stuff. So just know that. When did you start working on the ideas and planning for Kingdom Hearts 4, and what do you think you wanted to incorporate early on? So yeah, this is gonna be a pretty important one. Then when we read the last two questions, they were gonna kind of chill out. Well, 3 questions, because this one is a Final Fantasy one. And yeah, so we're gonna go through that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get us there fast, quick, and in a hurry. So, when did you start working on ideas and planning for Kingdom Hearts 4, and what the things do you know you wanted to incorporate early on? Whenever I'm working on a title, I'm already thinking about what I want to incorporate in the next one. For example, Kingdom Hearts 4, I had already started thinking about what I wanted to do with it while making Kingdom Hearts 3. This is more in terms of characters, worlds, or gameplay systems. I want to implement every time it's the same process. I'm constantly thinking of what to improve on or change in the next title, which is how you should be thinking about video games. For example, Kingdom Hearts 2 was introduced to the reaction command system. I felt like fans didn't take it too well, and it wasn't that popular. So in Kingdom Hearts 3, we took that system out. But then fans, why'd you take it out? So now we're considering bringing it back in Kingdom Hearts 4. The challenge is with the action gameplay. It's hard to execute the satisfying action moves when the footing isn't very secure. That's something we're working on, and hopefully we can realize as an aspect of Kingdom Hearts 4. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. They did take out the reaction command. But the thing is, like, you gotta remember, I played Kingdom Hearts young, so I thought it was dope. But a lot of players did feel like it was easier to play the game with the reaction command, so they didn't like it. I liked it because it allowed for cooler moves to be implemented easier for beginning players. Again, a lot of younger players are gravitated towards Kingdom Hearts because of the Disney aspect and the graphical style of the game. I'm not saying the game is made for kids, it's made for everyone, but that's why a younger audience will, tend to drive to it. But will we be spending a lot of time in Quadratum? Does having a more realistic setting give you a bigger opportunity to try new things in gameplay? I think it will be a pretty good amount of time since it is set at the initial base within the game. You spend time there and then go to different worlds and then go back there. Because the graphics are more realistic this time around, I feel like there's more of a realistic daily life aspect to Sora's life. You can see him go in and out of his room and spend time there. I feel like players will get to see more of the day-to-day routine he goes through. As far as the worlds go, in the past we featured a lot of Disney worlds, and among those, most realistic one was probably Pirates of the Caribbean. Yep, this time around we're spending some time in the actual real world. This was a challenge we had for ourselves, just to see how realistic can we. Jesus Christ, I don't know why people are texting me. We're working on right now. For now, we can't really dive into any further details than that. I am going to pause the the Audacity, and I'll be right back. Now, the last question I'm going to read about, because I know everybody is super. I remember the reaction Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. But fans have been very concerned about the lack of Final Fantasy characters in a newer entry. Do you still want to go down on the amount of them in the series, or is Kingdom Hearts 4 a chance to bring in more cameos? I understand there weren't many Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3. One thing I want to clear up is that a lot of fans are saying that Kingdom Hearts is this collaboration between Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters, but I really feel like that's not the basic concept of Kingdom Hearts. That's not exactly what Kingdom Hearts is. When we released the first title, we had only a few original Kingdom Hearts characters. When they were interacting with well-known, beloved Disney characters, I feel nobody really knew these new characters. It was harder for them to stand their ground just yet, and so we had a lot of Final Fantasy characters involved to lend a hand for everyone to get to know these original Kingdom Hearts characters better. Now, there are many original characters from Kingdom Hearts that are so well loved, and people want to see more of those characters. With Kingdom Hearts 3, since we did have so many original characters, it was hard to find room for more Final Fantasy characters. Basically what he's saying is that it's hard to establish these characters after, having, as many new Kingdom Hearts characters. Because you have to remember, I kind of get what he means. Because in Kingdom Hearts 4, we were not given, not Kingdom Hearts 4, Kingdom Hearts 3, we were not given as many Final Fantasy characters. Because the world, even though Disney World didn't have super big impact, but when we got to, let's look at Kingdom Hearts 1. The only original characters we had was Sora, Riku, and Kairi. There was not that many. And the Final Fantasy characters were there, like Tidus was there, Yuffie was there, well not Yuffie, Yuna was there. One of the two, I forgot which one it was. No, Celsi. And Waka. And that was from Final Fantasy X. That was a sort of cross promotion. Then you also have characters like Cloud appeared, Yuffie, Squall, or Leon, I call him Squall, I don't know before. Aeris. Basically, those were the characters we had that were Final Fantasy established. So let's go fast forward it. Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories happened, and we got introduced to the organization members. We got introduced to Axel, Zexion, Larxene. Then we got introduced to Naminé, even though she wasn't an organization member. We got introduced to Diz. We got introduced to a lot of characters that helped establish Kingdom Hearts with more credibility. Then Kingdom Hearts 2 happened, and guess what? We got introduced to... Kairi was there. We got introduced to Roxas, Pence, Olette, Hayner. All of these characters got their own spotlight. And then, of course, Birth by Sleep really helped out when it introduced us to younger versions of characters we already knew. Then it gave us Aqua, Terra, and Ventus. And then Dream Drop did this and all that stuff. So each characters got their own spotlight, and there wasn't really any need for the Final Fantasy character. Do I want the Final Fantasy character? Hell yes. You have to remember, I grew up with both of these franchises at the same time. When I started playing video games, I think Final Fantasy 11 was popular, Final Fantasy 10 was popular, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 just came out. I didn't play Chain of Memories yet because I didn't have Game Boy. What else was a big thing? But yeah, a lot of Final Fantasy stuff, and then I went back and played 7 because it was easily accessible back then. Very easily accessible. If you had someone with a PlayStation 1, you could just pop it in PlayStation 2, there you go. And then Final Fantasy 13 happened, and all these other games, well, it'd be great to see these characters in Kingdom Hearts eventually. But I understand where he's going for, because it's like, when other characters started getting introduced and established, then I started, building up what I liked about Kingdom Hearts. Because when Aqua got introduced, I had an attachment to that character. I loved Aqua. She was badass to me. That was the first female Keyblade wielder that wasn't a stand-in for something. So yeah, I want to see Final Fantasy characters in there, but I understand where he's going for. Also, the last interview question was do we have any teasers? He said we will need to play Missing Link to kind of understand Kingdom Hearts 4, which again, why do you have to make a mobile game canon? But it's whatever. But overall, I'm liking what Nomura's saying. I have a lot of high hopes for Kingdom Hearts. The one thing I'm super excited is that we're focusing on Sora. I really wish he had gave us a little bit more hints with party members and what the next step for the franchise. But that's it. I'm sorry for the multiple interruptions. I did not expect my phone to go off like that. And it especially with earlier in the day, I was like, okay, everybody's busy. I can focus on making content. But yeah, I'm sorry I keep taking breaks. There's not a lot of news, or if there is news, people are covering it a lot faster than me. So I already know someone probably already had their Kingdom Hearts video out. But I will make sure I'll have content up. I'll probably be streaming tomorrow. If you guys want to drop by on the Twitch, don't forget to click the link down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram for more Kingdom Hearts and video updates. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter for updates on videos and streaming. Lastly, what else do I want you to follow? Just go down below. Go and join the Discord.